So let's talk about all this, where it goes and what's really going on with Andersen Capital Management CIO Peter Andersen and Oppenheimer Head of Technical Analysis, Ari Wall. Peter, I'm going to start with you. It's easy to forget that in 2022, the markets fell 25% because it was kind of slow and, dare I say, orderly. This feels different. What are you advising your clients to do right now?
Well, of course, it feels very different because, it was simpler then. I hate to say that. It was very painful, but it was simpler because we were all focused on one thing, the Fed raising rates. That was the theme for the year. This year, too many variables, too little visibility. Clients are asking, what the heck should we do? And I would say, will we be talking about this 6 months from now? We're hoping that this will all be resolved in 6 months. If you are still happy with your equities and you can logically defend it, I would stay. If you can, stay the course.
Well, I would say, Peter, what if it's not resolved? Everybody, you're right, kind of keeps waiting. It's a negotiating tactic, art of the deal. What if it's not resolved, Peter? What if we're still talking about this in June and July and August?
Yeah,
what then?
Well, we still could be talking about it, and not that it will be totally resolved, but we should get some clarity. I mean, if this pressure continues, everybody in the administration, so far they've been pretty much mute about this reacting to the markets. But my sense is at that point, there will be some kind of acquiescence or giving in or changing course, because we know that the administration takes a very serious read on equity markets, almost in a vanity sense.
And Peter, 2022, we're coming out of COVID, obviously. There was a lot of other things that were going on. This feels different, like I said at the top. How do we get out of this? Do you view this as a self-inflicted market wound?
There's always opportunities, even if, however you define this. And so we're not just sitting here waiting for the storm to pass. I mean, we're looking for opportunities. So one free gift that the market has given us, in our opinion, are international European aerospace and defense companies. They seem to be totally independent of executive orders, tariffs, et cetera, and more focused on the European rearmament defense buildup. So while we're waiting for this storm to pass, there are opportunities, and I would say that, in our opinion, is a very strong opportunity right now.
Yeah, we've talked, Peter, a lot about this stimulus for Germany and stimulus for Europe.
Yeah.
Some would call this the, quote, sell America trade. Are you that far?
Not at all. Instead, I'm looking at broadening the horizons and the fact that American policy has, in part, created this opportunity. We remember that the current administration's attitude toward NATO has fed this. We've been watching the GDP growth of the NATO members prior to Trump's election. It's always been under 2% of their GDP. Remarkably, in November, it broke through that 2% GDP spending level, and so that triggered our interest in those companies. Before then, we really were not paying much attention to them at all. So there are good things that come from uncertainties right now.
Do you, we've get some news here, Peter, but do you worry about what's going on between the president and the Fed chair, or whatever could happen with the Fed here in kind of the direction that could go? Or is that another thing that you think we will be talking less about in 6 months? Because that one, you wonder if we're going to be talking about even more.
Right, we're hoping that. But, history, if you do look back, I'm not much of a proponent of saying, history repeats itself, et cetera. But this isn't the first rodeo that has been like this, right? I think all the way back to President Nixon, there have been these public and private disputes. This one does seem over the top, but I do think that it might be some saber rattling and that the current Fed will play out the term.
All right. As I mentioned, we've got some news to get to. Gentlemen, for now, thanks. Peter Andersen.